Welcome back to another Scary Night Tales. Tonight's story will send chills down your spine. Imagine working as a forest ranger, surrounded by the endless wilderness. But what happens when you realize something is out there, following you? Step by step, it's getting closer, and breaking the silence of the forest might just invite your worst nightmare. Before we dive into the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get started. I always like the quietness of nature, the peace that comes with waking through the trees and into the woods. Also, watching the clear night sky is a very nice thing to do when out in the forest. Seeing so many stars just remind me of how small we really are. How insignificant is our existence, we could disappear in an instant, and the universe wouldn't even notice. My brother always brought me with him when he went camping, and that's when I discovered my passion for nature. Now I just like to go hiking or camping with my friends, as my brother has moved out of the country. I hope I will see him soon. I really miss spending time with him. I'm worried I won't have the privilege of doing that, given the situation I find myself in now. But hope is all I've got. If you read this, please pray for me. I need that. I won't give specific details about me, as I don't consider them important. I'm a 26-years-old man. That's the most I'm saying. I will tell you how I got in this situation. I recently started to work as a forest ranger. Everything seemed okay at first, but the fact that they just took me without any interview should have rang some alarm bells. I was desperate for a job as I have very little money, so I never thought about it. The day I arrived at the cabin was beautiful. The sun was setting, leaving off a dim orange light going through the trees. The weather was nice, your typical clear summer weather. Everything was perfect. The cabin is almost entirely made out of wood. Classic, I thought. It's big enough for 1 or 2 persons, and it looks very cozy inside. I stepped through the door and put my backpack underneath the bed. I opened the wardrobe and put on my sleeping clothes. As I got comfortable, I noticed there was a piece of paper on the table, along with a survival guide and a metal crucifix. Something was wrong. I picked up the note and something felt very off about it. I could feel the blood running cold in my veins as I started to read it. Hello, my name is Killian Sutter, and I am the former ranger who worked here. I don't want to scare you, but this job is not as you would expect. You see, weird things happen here, and they can prove to be deadly if you don't follow carefully what I tell you. In order to be able to survive, this note will be your Bible. The rules I have written for you are things I discovered on my own while working here. I don't know if this is everything, but it's mostly what usually happens here. 1. If the light bulb in your cabin suddenly starts to flicker, lock the door immediately, close the curtains, and turn off the lights. The thing will come close to your cabin and will try to enter. Do not panic, as it will leave if it doesn't find a way in. 2. Always lock the door behind you when you go outside. Failing to do this will result in the thing waiting for you in the cabin, hidden somewhere. 3. If you hear scratching coming from outside the cabin, do not be tricked by your ears. It's not coming from outside, but from inside. Stay still and hold your breath. The thing is blind, and it won't know you are there if you do that. It should leave by the time you can count to 10, rushing through the door. 4. While outside, be as quiet as you can or it will hear you. If it does, rush back to the cabin and barricade yourself in there. If at any point you get injured, clean the wound fast and bandage it so that you can't see any blood. The thing can smell blood from far away and it makes it go into a feral frenzy. Also, change the bandage often. When you do that, throw the old bandage in the fire. 6. Never leave your cabin after the sunset and before the sunrise, no matter what. The thing is much more aggressive when it's dark outside. 7. Before you go to sleep, put the metal crucifix I left you in a direction facing the entrance to the cabin. 8. Set your alarm at 3 a.m. and wake up to check on the crucifix. If it has blood on it, ignore rule number 6 and get out of the cabin as fast as you can and run to the storm shelter. I have marked it for you on the map in the survival guide. 9. Don't try to escape the woods until your contract expires, or the thing will follow you wherever you go. You have been warned. Some situations will require you to combine the rules, so be sure to remember them all. Good luck and keep yourself safe. Fuck no. What did I get into? Thoughts rushed aggressively through my mind. I was both angry and confused at the same time. I didn't know if the note was a prank or if it was real. Maybe this guy Killian just wanted to scare me. But I'd rather not take any chances and follow what is written on that piece of paper. At least until I realize if it's fake or not. When I got hired, nobody told me that somebody left before I was about to get into this. Maybe they knew I wouldn't accept if they told me this. Soon after, it was dark outside. I was sleepy, and I almost forgot to put the crucifix to face the door. Then, I went to sleep. The next day, I woke up and noticed a big scratch on my right arm. I was bleeding. I quickly cleaned the wound and applied a bandage to it. I also threw my shirt and the stained bed sheets in the fire because they had my blood on them. I froze then. How did this happen? Then I remembered the rule. Set your alarm at 3 a.m. and wake up to check on the crucifix. If it has blood on it, ignore rule number 6 and get out of the cabin as fast as you can and run to the storm shelter. I didn't check the crucifix. I have to admit, I was scared. And the list of rules was not a prank. Killian knew something I didn't, and he wanted to warn me about it. I haven't seen this thing he was talking about in the note until now, but I'm sure I don't want to see it. Not after what happened today. I checked to see if the crucifix had blood on it. Yeah, I know I should have done that hours earlier. It seemed to be fine. Why did I wake up with a big scratch on the arm then? What the hell is going on? I spent the rest of the day in my bed afraid to get outside the cabin to check the woods. This night I followed the rules exactly as I should have the night before. I put the crucifix to face the door and woke up at 3 in the morning to check on it. It was fine. The next 5 days were peaceful and I finally summoned the courage to do my actual job and go check the woods. I was quiet, and I didn't attract any unwanted attention. Those were the best days. I could actually enjoy being out in the nature and relax for a while. I felt so disconnected from the troubles of my life. I felt a sensation of peace. It was almost like the rules never existed, apart from the night ones and the door-locking one. I was out there enjoying myself. I didn't miss my normal days before I got the job. I enjoyed every last moment of those quiet days, and I'm glad I did because things started to get bad. On the 8th day, I was inside the cabin reading a book while I was in bed. And then, I've heard it. Scratching sounds were seemingly coming from outside. I remembered the rule. If you hear scratching coming from outside the cabin, do not be tricked by your ears. It's not coming from outside, but from inside. Stay still and hold your breath. It should leave by the time you count to 10. I quickly closed my eyes and stood frozen in the bed, holding my breath. I could feel the breath of the thing as it was sniffing me. I think it sensed the smell of fresh meat. A quick meal. I started to count. I was about to reach 10 when I heard a loud noise. The thing rushed out of the cabin through the door. I ran and closed it, locking it in the process. Then I passed out on the floor. When I woke up, it was almost midnight. Oh my God. The crucifix. I quickly rushed to put it in a position to face the door. Did I fail this rule? Am I going to die? These thoughts tormented me until 3 a.m. when I checked it. My heart started to beat fast, so fast that it could tear my chest apart. The crucifix had blood on it. In a panic, I grabbed the survival guide and a flashlight and I booked it to the storm shelter. I could feel the thing following me, getting closer each moment. After a 15-minute run, I arrived at the storm shelter. I rushed through the door and locked it behind me. Then, I fell down from the pain I could feel in my left leg. I think I snapped my ankle trying to outrun the beast out there. I crawled in a corner and fell asleep, waking up before the sunrise from the aching pain in my left ankle. Then, I fell asleep again. As I woke up, I asked myself, how am I going to make it back to the cabin with a snapped ankle? I improvised a waking stick out of a wooden pole in the storm shelter, and I started to hike back to the cabin. I had to get help. There is no mobile service in the forest, and I don't have a landline in the cabin. Also, I'm not a doctor, and I can't do anything about my ankle. As I was walking around the forest, I could feel the thing from before was watching me, smiling at me. I was easy prey. I couldn't get away from it anymore. My heavy footsteps were leaving deep marks on the ground as I was getting more and more tired. Finally, I got back to the cabin. I ate something. Then I thought of something risky. I planned to leave the woods tomorrow. I knew it was stupid, and I also knew what would happen if I do that. It's written in the rules. I lost the flow of time while contemplating on my decision, and soon it was dark outside again. I turned on the light, and soon it started to flicker. No, not now, I thought to myself. I checked to see if the door was locked, and sure enough, it was. I closed the curtains and turned off the light as instructed. Shortly after, I could hear it. The thing was outside the cabin, trying to find a way in. It started to claw at the walls and smash its body on the door. I accidentally caught a glimpse of what the thing looked like through a small part of a window. It was tall, and it had pale skin, like it was made out of snow. You could see the veins in its skin. That's how pale it was. It had long limbs and big, razor-sharp claws. But the most terrifying thing was its head. It was human, but it was missing its eyes. It had big, dark, and empty eye sockets, so dark you could stare into them and feeling a sensation of plunging into the abyss. I could feel the terrible hunger for human meat this creature had, and I was scared. It wanted to tear at me, rip out my flesh and feast on it. It would be just a matter of time until it gets me. After a while, it left, and I went to put the crucifix to face the door. I also woke up at 3 a.m. to check on it, and it was clean. My lucky night. I had to get some rest for tomorrow. I woke up the next day and geared up to leave the forest once and for all. I exited the cabin and started to hike towards the edge of the woods. I was slow, as I had to use the improvised walking stick from earlier, as I hadn't eaten for a long while, and I was gripped by agonizing hunger. I tripped over and fell to the ground. The noise was loud enough to attract that thing to come to me. I saw it getting closer, grinning its teeth in anticipation. I was done for. Then, I heard something in the woods. A very loud growl was echoing through the trees, and it seemed to scare the thing from earlier. Then, came a beast similar to this one, running on all fours, and the two clashed in a fight. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The monster which came recently scared the other, which was running like a wounded animal back to the thick tree line. I could see the beast was wearing a torn ranger uniform, or the remains of it. On the badge, I could read the name of the wearer. It was written clear and big, Killian Sutter. The thing ran back into the woods chasing the other beast. What did just happen? I was very confused until I remembered that Killian Sutter was also the name of the last ranger who worked in this forest. Why was he a beast? And why did he attack the other one? I'm grateful that I'm alive. I picked myself up and continued to hike out of the forest. I arrived at the road and got into my car. I called 911 as I was injured, cold and afraid. I passed out after. I woke up in the bed of a hospital. There's something clawing at the door, and I know what happened. I broke the last rule. Don't try to escape the woods until your contract expires, or the thing will follow you wherever you go. Now I'm just sitting in the hospital bed, afraid of whatever got out of that forest and is now following me. I can sense its hunger. It wants my flesh. And I know that a door is not enough to stop it. As the hinge got looser and looser, I was preparing for the impending doom ahead. I accepted the fact that I'm going to die. But I got lucky again, as it left before the door was broken. I feel like it's playing with me, preying on my fear, and it knows that I can't do much about it. As I'm writing this, I got discarded from the hospital, and I'm sitting in my bed at home. I know it's only a matter of time before I will see that creature. But this time, I won't run. I'm gonna face whatever the fuck that is.